Did you notice that I screwed up in the last lesson? I forgot to change the name field back to 15. Let's do that right now. We'll use the goTo function, field G, put in field 1, and we're back to our name field. We'll change the field length from 25 to 15. And now we're sitting at protected field. Setting the protect checkbox edit to Y means an operator can key nothing in this field. We're not going to use this checkbox for the play format. This seems like a strange edit to have. If you don't want an operator to key into a field, why would you bother putting it on the screen? Legacy again. Some older systems could only output data that showed up on the screen. When DMAC converted users of these systems to Unibase, it was simpler to mimic their functionality rather than write new programs, especially when hundreds of programs had to be converted. Now we move on to type. This is the one checkbox edit you're going to use all the time. Type tells us what kind of characters the operator is allowed to enter from the keyboard. If an incorrect character type is entered, Unibase responds immediately, not when the operator exits the field. You first learned about field types in the lessons on data entry. Unibase defaults to L, which means lower, for the lower shift of the keyboard. But it might be more useful to think of L as standing for letters. There are 6 additional checkbox edits that spell out the keyboard character type more precisely. A field type of L allows an operator to key punctuation, blanks, uppercase alpha, that's what the UCA stands for, and numerics. The only characters an operator can't key in this field are lowercase alpha, LCAs, and oversigned numbers, which are for negative amounts. When you choose a different field type, Unibase changes the 6 checkboxes below to reflect the choice. A field type of N allows an operator to key only numbers or oversigned numbers, which show on the screen as alpha characters. A field type of T expands our keying possibilities, adding LCA, lowercase alpha, to most of the other character types of a field type of L. The only thing an operator can't key in this field is an oversigned number. But suppose the 6 default settings don't do exactly what we want. For example, the field type of L for our name field allows the keyer to enter numbers. And I haven't heard of anyone naming their child 123, at least not yet. But if we choose a field type of A, all we get is blanks and uppercase alpha. What do we do about the apostrophes in names like O'Malley, or the hyphens in names like Smith-White? Some shops might choose not to key punctuation at all. Just let their operators key a blank for the punctuation. After all, that'll be faster, and is perfectly acceptable for something like a label that gets slapped onto a package that is mailed out. Other times, your customer wants the punctuation that shows up in names, so you can set the field to L and customize the field type further by removing the Y on the checkbox edit for numbers. This lets an operator key punctuation, but keeps him from keying numbers in the name field. There are still 3 more field types, but these are probably not going to be as useful as the others. A field type of B allows blanks and alpha, but this time it allows both uppercase alpha and lowercase alpha. Can you find a use for this type? Maybe you can. A field type of U is interesting. You have the same defaults as a field type of L. The designation doesn't mean anything if your shop is using the typewriter keyboard. However, if your shop is using the O29 keyboard, coding a field as U means that when an operator keys U, I, O, he'll get 1, 2, 3 in this field instead of the alpha characters. And if he wants to get capital letters, he has to hold down the Shift key. So U essentially reverses the implied shift of the keyboard. Unibase also has a designation of M, which defaults to blanks, uppercase alpha, oversigned numbers, and numerics. This may or may not be useful to you depending on what you're trying to achieve. Let's go through and make a decision about the field type for each of the fields in our play format. You may not normally program your edits in this fashion, but we've got quite a bit more information to learn. And this method of going through the fields for each checkbox edit as we learn it will reinforce that information. We'll make the name field L and remove the numeric checkbox. We'll press release to get to the address field. We'll leave this one as L because anything can happen here. How about the city? I would choose A for alpha. I know of only one city, Winston-Salem, that has a hyphen, and a few that use abbreviations and might need a period, like St. Paul, Minnesota. But I would probably let my operators key a space for those punctuation marks instead. The two-letter state abbreviation should certainly be designated alpha. The zip code should be N. And we probably don't want to allow any oversigned numbers either. We'll do the same for all three date fields. We'll make them numeric and take off the oversigned designation. And the gender field should be alpha only. And that takes care of our field types. You ought to be able to see that altering this extremely simple checkbox edit of field type goes a long way toward improving the accuracy of your operators. We'll learn more improvements in the next lesson.